Today we're breaking down Josh Downs, one of the most interesting young slot wide receivers in Dynasty right now. He's got the short area quickness, the twitchy releases, and the route running skills to make defenders look silly. But the question we need to ask is this: can he be fantasy relevant with Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones under center? Because looking at the tape, a lot of his targets last year were flat out bad, off target, mistimed, or just misread. If Richardson or Jones doesn't take that next step as a passer, Downs could struggle to unlock his ceiling. So let's dive into the tape and see what the truth really is.
Hey.
Alright guys, before we get into this first play from Josh Downs, I want to give you guys a brief breakdown of him as a player if you guys aren't super familiar with his game. So at 5'9", 171 pounds, he's very undersized for the wide receiver position, which is why the Colts primarily use him out of the slot position. He played over 70% of his snaps in the slot. Why? Because they can use him in motion a lot, and they can keep these corners from press covering him, because if they get their hands on him and be physical with him at the line of scrimmage, he is going to be plastered. He's not going to be able to run his routes, guys, and that shows up in the film, unfortunately. But he's super good in the short to intermediate areas of the field. You just spam targets to him and you just watch him go. You see that short area quickness, that yak ability on film a lot. And, that's why the Colts drafted him in the 3rd round. Out of North Carolina, he was electric after the catch. You just throw him the dump offs. You put him on flat routes, screens, things like that. And he would just take it 12, 15 yards. Now, in terms of him as an athlete, he ran a 4.48 40-yard dash, which looks good at a glance, but when you consider how small he is, his speed score, which is height and weight adjusted via Player Profiler, 13th percentile, which is very poor. I mean, being that small and running that high of a 40-yard dash time is just, it doesn't translate that well, and you do see that on the film as well when he's running those deep routes or whenever he gets in open space, he usually gets caught up with. That's a knock for sure. But where he really pops off in terms of athletics, burst score, agility score. You see 89th percentile burst score and 87th percentile agility score. That absolutely shows up on film. The yak ability's there, the short area quickness is there, and that's what gets him open in the NFL constantly. You look at his first 2 seasons, he's had some really poor quarterback play over the past 2 seasons, right? He had Joe Flacco, no knock to Flacco, but he's over 40 years old now, and Anthony Richardson, if he's throwing a 5-yard out route, he might kill somebody in the 3rd row of the stands. He's very, very poor in the short to intermediate areas of the field, Anthony Richardson is. So they've had some struggles at quarterback, and that showed up on film time and time again with Josh Downs. But enough of me yapping, guys. Let's go ahead and get right into the film here. So Josh Downs in this play right here, you're going to send him into motion, and then he's going to come back into a flat route, which looks very familiar if you guys watched the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, the Chiefs versus the 49ers. This is a very similar play that actually won the Chiefs the football game, but they do something a little bit different with Josh Downs. Instead of him running this flat route here, he basically runs a whip route instead, and it works perfectly because Josh Downs is that quick, twitchy route runner, and you'll see that all over the film with him. He's going to get pretty much wide open versus this zone coverage that Pittsburgh's running. So let's go ahead and get right into the film here. I'll play it one time. So they put him in motion in the flat, turns his hips. He does get popped by number 6. It is, a bad play from 24, but he's got to cover Pittman and he's got to cover Downs, right? So he thinks it's the play that Kansas City ran. So he's just going out to the flat, right? Well, Josh Downs, boom, cuts it back inside. I don't know if this is an option route or if this is the actual play call. This is the route all the way through. I'm not sure. It looks like it, but beautiful play from Josh Downs. And just shows you that quick agility of his and his ability to just fall forward into the end zone and take a pretty solid hit. So beautiful play from Josh Downs here. All right, guys, in this next play, it really showcases Josh Downs' suddenness in his route running. You'll see him kind of release slowly off the line of scrimmage, and then he'll just shuffle his feet and then explode one way or the other, and he gets open constantly because of this. So you're going to see Josh Downs basically kind of and then explode out to the flat here. Now, he gets open, but more importantly, what does he do after the catch? Because you're running on these flat routes. If you get tackled as soon as you catch these flat routes, you're only getting 2 to 3 yards maximum off these flat routes. So you want your guys that are yak threats like Josh Downs to be running these routes, because they are way more efficient when you have a yak threat here. So we're going to see Josh Downs showcase some great suddenness in his route, great cut, and you're going to see some really solid yak ability as well. Watch this. So, boop, goes out to the flat, cuts back. You see 26 pounded his hands into the turf. Yep, you got God on this play for sure. So let's go ahead. He turns this into a 10-yard gain, guys, which is beautiful because this looks like it would only be 3-4 yards. But Josh Downs makes an incredible play, basically stopping on a dime, letting the corner basically tackle himself out of bounds. And he just goes for 10 yards, steps out of bounds, doesn't take the biggest hit. That's important with Josh Downs because he is 5'9", 170 pounds. We do not want any unnecessary hits to his small frame because he can get hurt. He only played 14 games this year, guys, and he still put up over 800 yards. He was on pace to break 1,000 yards if he played all the games. So let's go ahead and see this one more time. You're going to see just kind of seeing the leverage. That's something that Josh Downs is very adept at doing, guys. He sees the leverage and then boom, explodes. And then that's just a beautiful play. I want to see this one more time. He knows the corner's trying to tackle him, but he can stop on a dime. The corner can't. He just turns around. It's not Malik Neighbors level yak ability, obviously, but it is very good. And he just takes the first down, steps out of bounds. Smart play from Josh Downs. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Tyler Lockett here, just a little bit better after the catch. Yeah, this is great stuff. It showcases the suddenness off of his release. Showcases the yak ability. This is a lot of Josh Downs' game encapsulated into one singular play. All right, guys, in this play, it's all about Josh Downs getting off press coverage and showcasing some of his ball skills. So at 5'9", 171 pounds, guys, you wouldn't think he would be the best in terms of high pointing the football, jumping up, and getting these contested grabs. But Josh Downs is actually pretty solid at that. If you guys paid attention earlier in the video with the North Carolina highlights, he did that a lot at North Carolina. He's able to jump up and just pluck the ball out of the air despite being undersized. So, like I said, in this play, you got number 5 here trying to press cover Josh Downs in man-to-man coverage, and you're going to see a beautiful technique from Josh Downs getting off the press coverage and then bursting out on this deep corner route to the end zone. Now, he unfortunately gets downed at the 1 here. It does look like a touchdown, but he ends up getting downed at the 1, so it actually took away a touchdown from him just because of the slight underthrow from Anthony Richardson. So let's go ahead and play this play all the way through. You're going to see Josh Downs swipe away the hands, cross his face, boom. And then underthrown ball. I would have liked it to be a little bit in the corner of the end zone here. I think Josh Downs could have caught that. But boom, this is great stuff from Josh Downs. Look, he cuts inside, tries to get inside leverage, and he switch releases him. And also just slaps number 5, basically, get your hands off me. And then has the short area quickness. He's got the burst to be able to separate. Maybe not deep downfield, but he does have the ability to separate in the short to intermediate areas. And then boom. Almost a touchdown. It would have been awesome if it was, because that's a great look at that. High points the football, comes down with it as well. That's a hard catch, guys. He's having to turn his body and jump, basically lay out for the catch. That's amazing. That's a really good play from Josh Downs. So, guys, believe it or not, there are some disadvantages at playing wide receiver at 5'9" and 171 pounds. And one of those disadvantages is getting off press coverage. So, yes, last play he was very good at it. He showed some really good technique, But in this play, you can call it PI if you want. It didn't get called here. I think, he just held him just a little bit within 5 yards. So I don't think this should have been a penalty. But you're going to see Josh Downs on a quick in route here, or an under route, as other people will call it. And you're going to see this corner here get his hands on him, and Josh Downs just doesn't even get to run the route. And this is one of the downsides of being a smaller wide receiver, because if you get pressed up like this on a corner, you're just going to be taken out of the play. And you're going to see Flacco try to throw the ball at Josh Downs, and there's no shot Josh Downs is catching this. And Joe Flacco's just trying to get the PI call here, and it just doesn't end up working. So you're going to see Josh Downs try to do that release like he always does, and he doesn't end up getting it right. It's not within 5 yards, I don't think. Yeah, it's not. It's within 4 yards. But yeah, he presses up Josh Downs, and he just can't get off of the press coverage here. And that's just one of the downsides with him. He has a great release here, tries to switch him up a little bit, but just doesn't end up working, and the corner basically bullies him off of this route. So that's one of the downsides with Josh Downs, but thankfully they use him in the slot a lot in motion, so he's not going to be in this type of situation a lot, but it does limit his versatility as a wide receiver. All right, guys, before we get into this last play from Josh Downs, which actually ends up taking a touchdown from him, it's an unfortunate drop, I want to go ahead and go over some of my notes that I took on him while I was watching all of his film from this past season, and just kind of give you guys an idea of what I think of him as a player, some of his strengths, weaknesses, etc. So first thing that popped off the film for me immediately was his route running. He's so quick, he's twitchy, he gets separation pretty much all the time. He's got some solid yak ability as well, where he can basically make defenders miss in open space. He's got some solid contact balance, and he can make these 3-4 yard routes turn into 12 to 15 yard gains, which I thought was super impressive. He's got some good ball skills. You saw on the film here, he was able to high point footballs from time to time despite being undersized. And I want to preface this again. His separation ability was incredible. It was hard to find bad film on him outside of some of his drops, because he was getting open pretty much on each and every single play unless he was press man covered. So very impressive separation skills. Now, some of the stuff that I didn't like, I thought he had some inconsistent hands. He had 5 drops this last season, which was 6th in the entire NFL, despite him missing 3 games. That's definitely not what we want to see. And he's got some limited long speed. He's not really targeted deep down the field. I think he was like 68th in deep targets, which with Anthony Richardson as your quarterback, you wouldn't expect because he throws downfield so much. He has limited long speed, so he's not going to be getting separation deep down the field unless he is wide open, there's a blown coverage. Last thing I want to go over, he is undersized. He's 5'9", 171 pounds, and I know size doesn't always matter with some of these wide receivers, right? But with him, I think he's so undersized that it basically makes him linear in where he's going to play on the football. I think he's going to be slot specific, which limits his upside and his versatility as a player. Yes, he'll be outside sometimes, but I think he's mainly going to be a slot wide receiver, which isn't a death sentence, but it will limit when he will be on the field. But, that's some of the things that I thought about him as a player. Overall, I thought it was pretty good film. He's got some pretty clean film on tape, so definitely like him as a player, and I think he's a good buy low candidate if you guys can get him in Dynasty. But let's go ahead and go over this play specifically. So Josh Downs is just going to be on a quick out route here. And why this play works so well is that you got 2 vertical routes downfield from Alec Pierce and whoever number 83 is. I'm not sure who that is. But he's going to get wide open. And you're going to see just a very unfortunate drop. So you're going to see Josh Downs. And he does those skips off the line of scrimmage. I want to show you guys this one more time. Skip, explode. And he drops the football. That's a wide open touchdown. That is 6 points taken off the board from the Colts just because he drops this. That is just, you can't do that. You're wide open. The ball is perfect. You have no excuses to drop this. And he does, and it takes a touchdown away from him. You see him slam the ball on the turf. He's frustrated. But yeah, he's going to have to get on the jugs machine this offseason, try to clean up some of those inconsistencies with his hands. And if he can do that, I think he will be a very consistent option for us. He will be a PPR stud in Dynasty. There's no doubt that Josh Downs has the skill set to be a reliable fantasy asset. He gets open, he's crafty after the catch, and he competes for every single yard. But the big unknown here is the quarterback play. If Richardson or Jones improves his timing and accuracy, Downs could smash value in PPR leagues. If not, his upside may be capped. What do you guys think? Are you buying or fading Josh Downs in Dynasty? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to join the Bobby's Big Board Discord to keep the conversation going all season long. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Hey.